One of my sweet little nieces in New Orleans requested that I sing a song so she could remember the words. I think it was Johnny Pavek. And not only, I couldn't just write the words down because she wouldn't know the tune, you know. So here it is, along with a couple other little ditties that you might have forgotten about. This is a song about a Dutchman, Mr. Johnny Pavek. It's once there was a Dutchman, his name was Johnny Pavek. He made the finest sausages and sauerkraut respect. He made his own sausages, he cut 'em nice and lean. And then one day he invented a wonderful sausage machine. Oh, Mr. Johnny Pavek, how could you be so mean? I told you you'd be sorry for inventing that machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs can never more be seen. They'll all be ground to sausages in the Johnny Pavek machine. One day a boy came walking in the store. He bought a pound of sausages and laid them on the floor. The boy began to whistle, he whistled up a tune, and all the little sausages went dancing round the room. Oh, Mr. Johnny Pavek, how could you be so mean? I told you you'd be sorry for inventing that machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs can never more be seen. They'll all be ground to sausages in the Johnny Pavek machine. One day the machine was broke and the darn thing wouldn't go. So Johnny Pavek, he climbed inside to see what made it so. His wife was in a nightmare and walking in her sleep. She gave the crank an awful yank, and Johnny Pavek was meat. Oh, Mr. Johnny Pavek, how could you be so mean? I told you you'd be sorry for inventing that machine. Now all the neighbors' cats and dogs can never more be seen. They'll all be ground to sausages in the Johnny Pavek machine. That's so, isn't it? And I kind of ham it up a little bit too. And how about, I got a gal who's mighty sweet. She's got big blue eyes and tiny feet. Her name is Rosabella McGee, and she tips the scales at 3030G. But ain't it great to have a gal so big and fat that when you go to hug her, you don't know where you're at? You have to take a piece of chalk in your hand and hug a bit and chalk a mark to see where you began. One day, while I was hugging and a-chalking and a-begging her to be my bride, I spied another fella with some chalk in his hand, coming around the other side, over the mountains, over the great divide. And then Maggie, dear, we never go out alone. It seems that she must have a chaperone. When we go out, no matter where we're bound, there's always somebody around. She takes her father, her mother, her sister and her brother. Oh, I never see Maggie alone. She takes her uncles, her cousins. She's got 'em by the dozens. Oh, I never see Maggie alone. One day she said she was wishing that I would take her fishing. Now I knew I'd see Maggie alone. In our canoe then, we two then, went drifting down the river, far from the noise of her home. I threw my line and I thought I'd catch a trout. I got a bite and I pulled my line right out. There was her father, her mother, her sister and her brother. Oh, I never see Maggie alone. Oh no, I never see Maggie alone. And then I began my story out in West Virginia in a little college. All the student body only cared for football, never mind the knowledge. Never mind the sheepskin, they preferred the pigskin, seemed to have it in their bones. They knew all about it, couldn't live without it, all except a certain Mr. Jamboree Jones. He played the clarinet with all his might. He practiced night and day. He studied day and night. No running up the field for Mr. Jones. He'd rather run up the scale and down the scale. What tones! And even though his buddies always left their studies to attend a rally, while they all were rooting, you could hear him tooting, what's become of Sally? How they used to hate him, co-eds wouldn't date him, thought he was an awful bore. But he liked his rhythm more than being with them, so he only grinned and went to practice some more. Meanwhile, the team marched on to greater fame, and they were asked to play that famous Rose Bowl game. And on that day of days, the students beamed. What did they do when the team marched on the field? They screamed, rah, 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 rah. Starting from the kickoff, they pulled every trick off, but they couldn't win it. Instead of going forward, they were going backwards about a mile a minute. Seeing their position, they called intermission, and they heard the referee say, 17-0 ain't exactly nothing, and you only got about a minute to play. Then from the stands there came a distant wail, and it was jamboree, a swinging hold'em yell. And all the students then began to yell. The players marched up the field and down the field, pell-mell. And now in West Virginia on a certain hill, there stands that college still, just as it always will. And there's a picture in his Hall of Fame. You'll find the boy in the frame who won that game. Jamboree Jones is the gentleman's name. Jamboree Jones is the gentleman's name. And I left the gal I love on one of the 1,000 islands. Row, 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 row. But unfortunately, I can't remember which one. So I row, 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 row up the river St. Lawrence. And I'm hollering, Florence, oh, where can you be? I wouldn't be so lost out here in the 1,000 islands if we had only met on the Isle of Capri. So I row, 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 row up the river St. Lawrence, and I'm hollering, Florence, oh, where can you be? I mustn't take a nap. I got to check the map. That was Island 7, 93, 89. Go from shore to shore. I knock on door to door. How many 1,000 islands can there be? I met the gal I love on one of the 1,000 islands. Row, 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 row. But unfortunately, I can't remember which one. So I row, 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 row up the river St. Lawrence, and I'm hollering, Florence, oh, where can you be? Well, here we are 2 days later, and there's a couple of little ditties that I forgot to include on there, and I'm going to do them right now. Let's see, this time I'm going to go sit in my big comfortable chair over here. And since there's nobody home, I can belt out as loud as I want to. My voice is not very good, but at least you get the message, you know. You know, there's no little ditty that's really complete without this one, okay? It's blue-eyed Elaine, you're the sweetest thing, and I love you so. You'll always be my blue-eyed Elaine, no matter where you go. You'll travel near, you'll travel far, and there's one thing I know. You'll always be my blue-eyed Elaine, and I'll always be your beau. And that's true. That's the truth. Let's see, now there's a couple of little ones that I remember from my Boy Scout days. Like, how about this one? I was born 100,000 years ago, and there's nothing in this whole world I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul, and Moses playing Ring Around the Roses, and I licked the guy who says it isn't so. It's a lie, it's a lie. Ship ahoy, ship a-hey, ship a-high. Oh, I sail the 7 seas, and I sniff the salty breeze, but I never, never, never saw a mermaid. I taught Solomon his little ABCs. I was there when they invented Limburger cheese. I was in an airship flying when George Washington stopped lying, and believe me, he could really shoot the breeze. It's a lie, it's a lie. Ship ahoy, ship a-hey, ship a-high. Oh, I sailed the 7 seas and I sniffed the salty breeze, but I never, never, never saw a mermaid. I was there when Satan took the garden over. I was there when Adam and Eve walked through the door. I was in the garden peeking when the apple they were eating, and I swear I was the guy who ate the core. It's a lie, it's a lie. Ship ahoy, ship a-hey, ship a-high. Oh, I sailed the 7 seas and I sniffed the salty breeze, but I never, never, never saw a mermaid. I remember I used to sing one to Ellie and Gil Jr., when they were in Norfolk, and they got interested in it. It's just a little bitty short little verse. It goes, oh, Miss Effie was her name, through the West she won her fame, being handy with a trigger, but she drove her men insane. She would whip out her pistol and shoot most any guy, then sing out this alibi. I didn't know the gun was loaded, and I'm so sorry, my friend. I didn't know the gun was loaded, and I'll never ever do it again. Though she didn't know that the gun was loaded, but regarding this pistol that she toted, all she did was aim it high and go bang. She'll never ever do it again. Here's a little song that I want to put a disclaimer on, or warning. Don't try this at home, okay? Or don't try this at home if anybody else is home with you. Okay, it goes like this. Sarah, Sarah, sitting in the shoe shine shop. Sarah, Sarah, sitting in the shoe shine shop. All day long she shines and sits, sits and shines, shines and sits. All day long she shines and sits, sitting in the shoe shine shop. That's it. You believe it? One more time. Sarah, Sarah, sitting in the shoe shine shop. Sarah, Sarah, sitting in the shoe shine shop. All day long she shines and sits, sits and shines, shines and sits. All day long she shines and sits, sitting in the shoe shine shop. Not a tongue twister, it's just one of those things, Just don't do it with anybody else in the house. Let's see, is that all I need to do? And little Cheryl was the one, Florence's daughter, that asked me to sing the one little Mr. Johnny Quebec. And I'm such a ham, I get off on a big tangent, and I don't know when to stop. I don't know what all else I need to do. Stop Born 1,000 years ago. I was born 1,000 years ago, I sang that. I sang Blue-Eyed Elaine. I sang all those other ones Saturday, or Friday, whatever it was. I guess that's it. If you can think of anything else you want to know, holler at me, okay? I'm going to turn this thing off and make you a copy right now. These are my gym pants. When I wear these to the gym, everybody looks at me and says, man, that guy must be better than he looks. He wears gym pants. Yeah, we know. When you're 65 and 260 pounds, everybody gets out of your way.